Well, welcome back to Beach Chair Chats. I'm excited to have a great guest today, Allison Scheibler. How are you doing today, Allison?
Great. It's a Monday.
It's nice right now. I went outside my office today and it's been like sub-zero, cold winter, snow, and now it's like 70 degrees. So it's just, it's kind of confusing. And in the spirit of the
Yes.
name of this title of Beach Share Chats, I'd rather be actually at the beach, and I probably will go there after work because it's not far from my house. Now you're in the East Coast, right? Are you in the
Yes, I'm in Virginia, the Hampton Roads
Virginia?
area, so close to
Virginia.
the North Carolina border and the Chesapeake
Okay.
Bay.
All right, very nice. You go to Chesapeake Bay often? Are you
Not really. I am not an ocean sand kind of person. If I could go
no?
to the mountains, I would go there before I would go to the beach.
Well, the mountains are equally good, and you can take beach chairs there too. You can sit in chairs in the mountains.
True.
The obviously I have a brother who lives in near Asheville, so North Carolina. I haven't been down there yet,
Okay.
but those mountains are different. Obviously, the mountains up here in New England as well. But well, what do you like about the mountains? First of all, what's your favorite part?
Uh, well, it's quiet and
Sure.
I like hiking and
Mm-hmm.
walking. I don't exercise much outside of that other than like lifting weights.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like a mental health reason. It's just calm and the trees, the mountains, especially if it's in the fall time, the colors of the
Mm-hmm.
trees and everything. So it's just more of my scene, not so much the beach just is usually really crowded, especially Virginia
True.
Beach is the closest one that we can go to. Very touristy. It's just
Yes.
too busy for me.
Well, yeah, you're on top of people, right? And
Yes.
like I said, the mountains are quiet. And New England always has its foliage. That's what we're known for is the foliage and the leaf peepers. But one thing that music does have, or sorry, the beach does have is music, which segues
Yes.
into what you do. And you can find music as well in the mountains, but you teach, right? You've been teaching music for how long? About 18 years?
I'm technically in my 12th year,
12.
only what is it, my 10th year in public schools. So I did a
Okay.
couple of years in private schools that don't quite count, I guess, in certain people's minds, but still taught just in a different capacity.
And so what got you what inspired you to go into teaching? I mean, do you found it as when you went to college or when you started to figure this out? What made you to say, I want to go into music?
Around middle school, I was thinking about it earlier today. I had a fantastic band director. He's since retired, and my main instrument is bassoon. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
stereotypical instrument like flute or clarinet or anything like that. But I saw an instrument, I saw the bassoon on a video we were watching a previous concert, and it's one that's big enough, it sticks out of the band.
Mm-hmm.
And I just looked at it like, you know what? I want to play that. And I picked it up, and the longer that I played it, the more I wanted to be involved in music. I originally wanted to be a band director,
Okay.
but I changed my mind about halfway through college and I went the route to become an elementary music teacher instead. So most of my teaching has been, pre-K through fifth grade for the majority of it.
So what do you like about teaching elementary school band? Right. I was in band. I was a trombone player. I was first chair because there's only three of us. So there was a whole lot, it's a very small school. What do you like about
Yeah.
teaching, elementary school kids?
Uh, the I love it because it's fun. It's really high energy, which also makes it very tiring. So the longer I do it, the more difficult it is to kind of keep up that energy during the school day and then not be completely drained by 2 o'clock when
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. But they enjoy it a whole lot more. There's not as much um what's the word I'm looking for? They don't feel like they have to practice. It's more exploration
Mm-hmm.
and playing just to have fun versus being ready to audition for something or have to put on a particular concert, which we still do in some capacity, but it's a lot less structured, a little
Yeah.
bit more informal. So the fun of doing it and planning it and seeing their faces when they come into the classroom is always the big thing. And when they get to play something and it comes
Yeah.
together, it's like you can see the light bulb go off and their faces just show how much they get from the experience just being in the classroom.
I will say, talk about exploration too for kids of not actually be like the master at their instrument because it takes time. I think about my son when he was learning. He picked up the violin, and every parent's, you know, it's not the best sound sometimes, and so he tried. And I always give him a hard time. Well, I don't like a hard time. I just joke about it. Like he couldn't hold the thing up, so he always leaned down and like hold it up and just it was bad. And it's an hour of screeching. Eventually he found the cello, and that's my favorite instrument. He knows a trombone player, but he did that better. I think because he could sit. I think the effort
Yes.
level to stand was too much. I think he could just sit down and play the cello, which was good. But it is an exploration for kids, and they find love for music or they don't. It's okay as long as they enjoy it.
Yep.
That's the best part. Um, but you talked about even one of the things, being a teacher, working with kids day in and day out, is a lot, right? How do you, take care of yourself, like well-being? You talked a little bit, you mentioned a little bit about mental health and well-being for
Mhm.
yourself. How do you kind of manage yourself? And just, I know you said hiking, those are some great things, but what do you do to manage just those types of things when you kind of just get burned out?
Burnout is a big issue right now, especially with teaching. I started teaching back in 2008, and I took about 8 years off when I had both of my children.
Mm-hmm.
So, waiting for them to both be of age that they were back in school. So, that 8 year break was very eye-opening when I jumped back in 2018. So, as far as when I first started versus now, it's setting boundaries, knowing when to say no,
Mm-hmm.
and learning to just really advocate for yourself because if not, you will get taken advantage of, especially if you're good at your job. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
keep putting more and more responsibility on your plate.
Yes.
So first, in the setting the boundaries for your school day, I've gotten better about, when 219 hits, that's like the end of my contract hours. My computer is closed. I go
Mm-hmm.
home. I try really hard not to think about things that I need to be doing in school. It can always wait until tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And then doing things at home that make me happy, like crafting,
Mm-hmm.
reading. If I need to take a nap, I'm going to take a nap.
Right.
Those kinds of things. Just trying to leave school at school, which is really
Yeah.
difficult for a lot of teaching because it's hard to get everything done in a school day.
Well, I think too, K through 12 is always, I have some friends who teach K through 12, and they're put in a disadvantage just because, they're asked to do so much. And like you said, if you're good at your job, they leech onto you. It's the same thing happens in higher ed. I told my dean there's three types of state employees, and the one type is that person who does all the things, right? Until they get burned out and become employee number two, which becomes
Yep.
I do my job, I put in my hours, but I'm done at the end of the day. I'm not going to do anything else, but I'll do my job well, right? And then you have a third type, and
Yes.
that's a whole nother animal. That's if it's a unionized state job, they take advantage of it. But I won't go down that rabbit hole. But they're special. Don't like them. I
Yes.
mean, that's how I don't like them. I just, yeah, it's a whole thing. But it sounds like you've learned how to set some boundaries for yourself too, and talk about crafting and things that kind of make you happy. How does it help you with all this when you think about when you cope with stress and the things that come with teaching? How do these hobbies help you get through it?
It's something that it's a repetitive motion. Mainly, I knit and crochet, and
Mm-hmm.
then I mentioned to you before I like obsessively read.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to because it's kind of like my whole life outside of school and home. Those are the things that I spend my time with. I don't watch TV very often.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things that I use my time. And because I've been doing it for so long, it's just kind of like second nature. I can knit or crochet without watching my hands. So I'll usually also pair that with listening to audiobooks,
Mm-hmm.
or I'll go on walks and do audiobooks as well. So those are just things because they're repetitive, because I also have ADHD, got diagnosed much later in life, and those things just kind of help calm my brain down or help me slow down because if not, it feels like a hamster constantly running on a wheel in my brain.
Yeah.
So just something that
Mm-hmm.
like puts you in a good spot. best way I can describe that.
Well, no, that's a good practice too, because with ADHD, because my son has ADHD, and trying to keep his focus easily, and so it's one task at a time is
Yes.
important. And doing it well, and not trying to take on too much to get overwhelmed. And so, but let me ask you about this: books. What's your book? What book you're reading now? What's your book of choice now?
Well, I'm stereotypical, elder millennial. I Romance is going to be pretty much whatever
Mm.
I always pick up because there's always a happily ever after because of everything that's going around in the world.
Yeah.
I'm not going to particularly pick up, horror or anything that is
No.
heavy. I'm definitely not a nonfiction reader,
Yeah.
but I do like my fair share of sci-fi. Like I love the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown. I would
Mm.
always reread that one. Um, Big on Hunger Games
Mm.
when I was younger, but that was still, I was out of college, so I was still 20s. But usually romance is going to be the first thing that I pick up. So
Yeah.
no reason to lie about that.
Well, it's important you talk about happiness, and if it's a story that brings you happiness or makes you feel good, right? Whether it be a
Yeah.
summer beach romance novel or whatever it would be, you talked about the world we live in right now. And not to try, I've said to myself, I don't want this podcast to be so much about that, but it is real, right?
Hmm.
Even if we're sitting on the beach talking about this, like, hey, this is happening. Okay.
Yep.
Or wherever you're at, it's like, this is happening. So it's best to kind of do those things that bring you peace in the midst of all the stuff, because there is lots of things happening, whether you're online. I'm glad you don't watch as much TV so you don't see the news, because that's also a lot. There's a lot of stuff, right? So how do you, even with, you talked about having a family, you have your job, and then you have all the other stuff. How, you take care of yourself. Do you find it hard sometimes to take care of yourself and all the roles that maybe you play as a mom, or as a spouse, or as a teacher? Do you find it hard to sometimes take care of yourself?
Definitely. And I'm lucky enough that my husband is very much the opposite of myself as far as calm versus storm. He does have his moments, but I'm much higher as far as I get emotional or
Mm-hmm.
riled up about things that are- really aren't in my control. And he's very, very good about like bringing everything down and thinking on kind of like more of a stable level. And without him, I think I would be a lot more frustrated, disappointed, struggling as far as letting current events just kind of really get to me, or teaching, so like on a lower level, not a world level, just on my day to day. He's really great about doing that and trying to bring me down
Mm-hmm.
and talk me off a ledge, to be honest.
That's good though.
And then also making sure to, because I have two kids, one that's about to be 15 and
Mm-hmm.
one that's a
Good
12-year
age.
old. So there's sixth grade and ninth grade. The oldest one is old enough to know what's going on, and just finding those things that we don't want to give them too much information, but we also don't want to shelter them from everything.
Yeah.
So then also that's something that I have to watch for whenever my husband and I are discussing things in the household. But if
Yeah.
they ever come to us with questions, we always make sure that we tell them the truth. We're not trying to hide them from anything, but we always preface it with, how much do you want to know?
Yeah.
And then having a proper discussion to kind of follow up with that.
Well, it's great that you have that with your husband, to have that support. And I'm sure you have ways to support him too in the same breath, and you balance each other out in ways. Um, and it's good to have support. I think in the world we live in, regardless of jobs that we do or things, it's nice to have people. I talk to my students a lot about this, that we live in a world where we're pretty much all on your own in theory, right? And individually, you're on your own and you process things the way you process things. You feel emotionally about things the way you do. No one else can feel that way, right? And so, as much as I love to talk about stories, that's why this I created this podcast for stories. You are the main character in your story, right? And
Hmm.
every I always say every I tell my students every year you're alive, it's a new book in your series, right? You talk about Hunger Games as a series of books. And so, this book that you're writing now at the age you're at, all the characters that are part of it, like your husband's been part of your series of books for a period of time, not the whole entire time, but a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
And then you have all types of characters that come into, but you figure it out, right? And how you handle things. It is important to take care of your own mental health through all the stuff that you do, right? It keeps you grounded, it keeps you present,
Mhm.
even as a mom, because that's a whole nother role, right? Especially teenagers and coming up to that age, it's a challenging year or challenging time. So it's important that you take care of yourself for that. So let's go back to the music. You love music, right? What's your music of choice? Get all this heavy stuff about mental health and it's getting tough right there. But what is music? What's your music of choice right now?
Um, I kind of listen to a little bit of everything, and I listen to a lot of the same music that I listened to in high school
Mm-hmm.
and early college, and I'm definitely part of the elder emo millennial age where it was Fall Out Boy and Panic at
Mm-hmm.
the Disco, and all of those kinds of bands that my husband still makes fun of me because
Mm-hmm.
that's basically my entire playlist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Classical, there's certain classical pieces that I will always listen to. Mahler is a big one,
Mm-hmm.
or Shostakovich.
Okay.
Um, just kind of those. But honestly, like my car playlist is basically the same exact music I was listening to from like 2000 to 2008.
Well, and the thing about music like that, I'm the same way because my entire playlist is a lot of it is 90s, early 2000s. So I have a funny story. I always tell this. My mother, when I was a kid and teenage, my room was below my parents' room, right? And I would be in my teenage phase of metal, not heavy metal, but rock, like Pearl Jam and Stone Temple
Yeah.
Pilots. This is not horrible
Yep.
stuff, Nirvana. And I'd have a little bit too loud, and my mom would stomp on the floor to turn it down. And so one day, being the youngest child that I am, and being mischievous, I turned it up and I went upstairs and I was in the hallway and she's in her room and she's stomping on the floor. I'm like, hey, mom, you should probably stomp a little bit louder. I don't think I can hear you. Oh, whew. She's full German. So it was not pretty, but she just turn your devil music off. It goes Pearl Jam. That is not devil music.
It's not even
Maybe
close.
maybe Nine Inch Nails was.
Yes.
So just pick one. Um, so, but even talk about classic. I'm a big fan of musical scores. I'm a big fan of Hans
Hmm.
Zimmer. I love the intensity of all the Hans Zimmer music. I will confession. I love the Dark Knight soundtracks. Okay, for Hans Zimmer, and I will
Hmm.
play the last song of The Dark Knight Rises when I'm on a plane. It's weird to go with it. And I play it. It's like I'm taking off. It just goes with it. It's just a mental thing to do. I'm just strange. But music is wonderful. It triggers emotions and feelings. And that's probably why you listen to stuff that you knew because it's
Yes.
probably tied to a great time in your life, right? When you're
Yeah.
young and free and did all the fun stuff. How about your kids? Do your kids give you a hard time for the musical choices besides your husband?
Yes. I mean, they can sing it because whenever they're in the car with me, I'm obviously playing it. And, with Apple Music, it plays the music that you listen to more often in
Mm-hmm.
playlist. So they'll keep hearing about the same, I don't know, dozen or so songs. And then if they ever hear it inside the house, they'll start singing it. And then my husband will go like, "Oh my gosh, I thought I only had to listen to it when you were around, but now the kids are
Oh
singing
no.
it." But they don't listen to the same music as I do. So if they have their headphones on, it's different. But they heard mine so much that they kind of know it just by being around it all the time.
Well, no, so and as you get older too, do you become judgmental of present day music?
I don't know. Sometimes yes.
Hmm.
Especially, but I mean, my students will bring in music and they'll say like, "Miss Scheibler, have you heard X, Y, or Z?" And I try not to shoot anything down because, we do music March Madness in my classroom. So usually it's music it's outside of their comfort zone. And we always talk about music is subjective. What you like might not be like this one. So anytime they bring in stuff, if I don't know it, I'll write it down and I'll try my best to remember to listen to it. I only see students once every 6 days. So I see 830 students over those 6 days. And sometimes I forget. But trying to like practice what I preach. If I tell the students like, oh, we need to be able to be respectful of all these different songs, I also need to know songs that are
Mhm.
outside of my comfort zone. Is it going to be what I like? No, but I don't necessarily judge it
Yeah.
just because that's not my place. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's not good music.
Well, it's like again, watching like the Grammys nowadays, I'm like, I don't even know who. I feel old. Look, I am older than present day,
Yes,
and
same.
like, who are these people? Like, are there bands anymore? Do they have? Why do they always have to combine like Metallica with like a new present day pop artist? I don't. It doesn't make any sense. Just because it's going
Yeah.
to be cool for ratings. No, just let it be where it is, and let good artists sing. I always like it with like when Lady Gaga would actually sing with Tony Bennett. Like
Yep.
her pop stuff not didn't really do much, but when she would sing like get into it, she was a phenomenal voice.
Hmm.
And the two of them, it's always fun to watch them too, but because it was very she's a great performer, but an excellent voice. Like those who have without the additional synthesizers to make them sound better, I think you're good,
Yeah.
right? And so music, it's a wonderful, and which is great today because it's kind of a segue out of this. Today is a nice day, so maybe if you get out of the house and put the windows down, you can blast some of that music that makes you happy,
Yes.
and do those things and get outside hopefully and get some hiking in and really try to enjoy it. So, Allison, it's been wonderful having you on the show today. You're in this passion project of mine. It's fun to do. It's good hearing your story, and I'm glad you got to be on today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I had a great time.